Yeah, I'm still awake. All right. I need to get Xavier in here. Give me just a sec. Xavier, can you hear me all right? All right. Good, good. So yes, the goal for me today is to try to stay awake as long as possible because my sleep schedule is all fucked. So, fun times all around.
For some reason it's being weird, and I can't hear anything.
That is weird. One sec. There we go. That should fix that.
Yeah, it's better.
All right, and hopefully people will be able to actually hear you too.
Hope so.
And I wonder where the heck Optimus is. I said, "Hey, let's talk robots," and he's not here. We can't get the robot to come in and talk robots. What?
Well, first of all, robot is a term of disparagement. He prefers cybernetic American.
Oh goodness. So yeah, I'm just still getting all of my audio levels and stuff set up. So um people might actually hear something in the background, some certain battle music. And they're actually going to see something very specific here in just a second.
Oh.
They should be able to hear it too.
Because I cannot hear anything.
Because it's my my PS4 is hooked into the stream. I don't know if I can show it in Discord at the same time. I don't know if this is gonna work.
It's trying. So, I saw your tweets earlier. I commented where you were frustrated at the amount of Gurren Lagann in X.
Yeah, I'm really not the biggest fan. I'm not gonna lie.
Which is fine. It's not for everybody. I personally feel though that yeah, I see it.
There we go.
I can't hear it though.
Well, yeah, that's the downside. You won't be able to hear anything, but
yeah, it's original generation. It's where they get to just make their own characters and tell whatever story they want.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to be trying to play tonight. I guess I should probably tell the story. So, for those in the chat, and for Xavier, because he doesn't know the context of this either, a fan of mine decided to send me three or four different Super Robot Wars games. And one of them was really nice because it had a special case. And it was Super Robot Wars X. And which I enjoyed up until the end. I don't like the whole. My biggest problem with Gurren Lagann, like, it's a Super Robots show. I get that. You know, it's supposed to be kind of over the top and all this other stuff. On the flip side, though, I don't like the art style.
Yeah. But like I said, it's not for everybody because it's extremely rubbery, where other super robots tend to be a little bit more solid unless they're by Go Nagai, and it just depends what mood Go Nagai was in at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Get a Robo can be that way sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. But that's kind of the fun of it,
Right.
though. And the instant I said I'm not that into Gurren Lagann, I lost 10 viewers. Jesus Christ, guys.
Like I said, it's okay to not like Gurren Lagann, but at the same time, you should just be able to at least appreciate what Gurren Lagann tries to do, and that it is a super robot super robot show. It only takes itself as seriously as it needs to.
Yeah.
It's more focused on telling the story it's trying to tell than how everything works. And when you ask how everything works, the show literally tells you don't care.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly fine. I mean, look at Mazinger. How does photonic energy work? I don't know. But it lets Mazinger shoot ice beams and eye lasers, and Great Mazinger can call lightning when he wants to, even if there's no clouds.
Yeah, it has something to do with Zeus. That's all I really understood about it, personally.
I think that's only in the Shin Mazinger.
Yeah, that's true.
Where they built Mazinger around Zeus's fucking skeleton.
Yeah. I think, both of the Mazingers, it's Z and Great are, like, his left and right hand or something like that.
Yeah. Although it's really fucking awesome when he does, Big Bang Punch and turns into a giant fucking fist.
Yes.
But the messaging of Gurren Lagann is something that's easy to get behind, which is, get out there. You're gonna fuck up because that's what happens. That's life. But you're never gonna win if you don't play. You're never gonna move forward if you don't actually advance and do something. And you're gonna trip, but your bros got your back. They're gonna pick you up. We're all gonna make it together.
Mm-hmm.
And the most quotable line being that don't believe in yourself, believe in the me that believes in you. Just, it's so much easier to believe in other people than it is ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But when those people believe in you, just believe in them because they're believing in you.
Yeah, I kind of grasped that in the show, or in it. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I've never been able to get into it. But with this particular game, I'll actually bring up my main camera so people can see it a little bit better. It's a beautiful case, and I think my biggest problem with X was there was only like 1 or 2 series in here, or no, I'm sorry. There was more series that I hadn't seen before in this one than there were in V. Because in this one, I know Mazinger, I know Gundam Wing because it's my favorite of the Gundam series,
right?
And then I was familiar with Mike Gine from V, so.
Oh yeah. Fucking love Gain. After I played V, I went and I found a bunch of episodes on YouTube and just watched the shit out of him. His show is great.
That's what I've heard. And then, like, there's a bunch of Universal Century Gundams in there. So you've got the new Gundam, Char is in there, in the Sazabi, I think is what his last mobile suit was called.
Yeah, Sazabi.
You've got the F-91, but from the actual F-91 movie, not from Crossbone Gundam.
Right.
But you also have Crossbone Gundam, which makes it a little weird.
Yeah.
So that it's kind of a bummer too, because in V, Crossbone and the cast of Crossbone is such a big part of this, or is a pretty substantial part of the story. So for them to just not be there, or to not to have that same focus, is really weird. They're just kind of there to fill the roster.
Yeah.
And then if you have Gundam Wing, it's the Endless Waltz designs.
Yeah.
And they are probably some of the best robots in the game. Just all around. Like, you get 7 of them, which was even crazier to me, because I think that's more representation of any other show in the game. Because, like, Mazinger only gets 4 robots. The only time that any other show really gets more is if you count all of the Universal Century.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think. There's zero representation technically from the original Gundam. Amuro is in it, but it's the version of him
it's
from
New Gundam.
Yeah, it's the new Gundam and Char as well. But you get 2 mobile suits from Zeta? Yeah. Which is just Zeta and then whatever Fa's mobile suit was.
Masala.
Yeah, something like that.
Methus.
Yeah, that one. And it's useful because it can repair other units.
That's what I used Team Rocket for, which is just what I call the group from Nadia, Secret of Blue Water.
Yes, I know the one you're talking about.
I can't remember their names, but I fucking love them so much.
Yeah, they're fun. I actually want to watch that show now. Not to mention, it's an interesting one because technically speaking, it's a collaboration with 2 of the biggest names in anime of all time. Yeah. In Miyazaki and
Anno.
Hideaki Anno, but they fucking hated each other.
Yeah.
And the depression that Anno had after Nadia Secret of Blue Water made him write Evangelion. And I'm like, that's interesting. I have to see this now.
I think part of it is that the show was so fucking popular, but it was only slated for like 40 episodes. And somewhere around episode 20, the sponsors came in and said, we need more episodes. I know we only paid for 40, but here's some more money. You need to run this thing at least another 10. So they had to dummy in like a 10-episode filler arc in the middle of it, and everyone fucking hates it.
Oh, that sucks.
But it's like, if you skip those episodes, the show is perfectly fine. It's phenomenal. I think even with it, it's still really good. It's just, you can tell that they really didn't want to do this, but their hands were tied.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think what else is in there though. But yeah, there's only 2 from Nadia Secret of Blue Water, but one of them's the Nautilus. So yeah, that's understandable.
Which, I fucking love that ship.
Yeah, it's got some capabilities in the game, that's for sure. There's a bunch from Savior Wataru, but he's technically the central figure of the story.
Yeah.
Up until the very end, and then he's suddenly not. Like, and this is sort of my problem with the story in this, is the whole Gurren Lagann thing. Like, you get Gurren really early on, and then he's not a factor for most of the story. Then all of a sudden, everything hinges on him, and I hate that.
I haven't finished X. I think I'm only like on map 24.
Oh, you're almost at the halfway point.
Yeah, which is fine because I played through V. I know how drastically the story will jump.
V was really good though.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's become like, I'm only a few days removed from finishing it, but it's one of my favorite games of all time. Like, I loved it. It had a surprise. I was surprised by how good the storyline was.
I was just shocked that they were managed to say that so many of these different things were all the same thing, and it kind of worked.
Oh yeah, like the somehow having the who was it that it existed in the same universe as the EVA units? It was Mazinger, if I remember right.
Mazinger. It was also Full Metal Panic.
Yeah.
And Get a Robo. And I think it was also early Universal Century.
Ah, that's right. That is right. Yeah, Getter... God, fucking Ryoma. I'm a big Get a Robo fan. So, when the Black Getter first showed up, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, dump all your points into that.
Yeah, it's about to go down, folks. And, I don't know, I'm gonna have to play... I'm tempted to play that on New Game Plus at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it would be kind of... Once Great Mazinger shows up, the game would be over. Because he's fully upgraded. And he was doing like 20k damage.
Oh, when you do New Game Plus and Super Robot Wars, what happens is You go back to one and you start picking up your units the same way you would going through the game normally,
Mm-hmm.
but all of the funds that you spent and all of the points you acquired up to that point are refunded.
Oh, that's interesting.
That means that because you have the spots where the party split and it took a different path.
Yeah.
Well, there's different story that happens on that path.
Oh yeah.
And this is basically just to encourage you. Okay, you hung out with these units and you fucked up a lot because then you didn't have these units, and the units you did have were shit, and you struggled.
Yeah.
Well, now you kind of know who goes with who, and you can play a little bit more. Play with some stuff guys you didn't play with before.
Yeah.
See, I've almost finished my second playthrough of V with the other protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through all the different paths that I didn't choose, and I think one of my favorite things about V is what they did with Shinji.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they fixed Shinji, like
It just showed that all he needed was a hug.
he needed people to believe in him and let them know, hey man, shit happens, but we're in this too. We're gonna get through this together, man.
Yeah. And what I really found funny though, of all the people who liked him, was Ryoma.
Yeah.
I did not expect Ryoma Nagare, of all characters, to like Shinji Ikari. I'd figure he'd fucking hate his guts. Then again, I think it was because Shinji was just a kid,
Yeah. He didn't ask for this, and yet he's the only one that can pilot this unit, and it's up to him, and it shouldn't be.
So while we talk about this before we fire up OG, because I know nothing about OG, I need to be doing something with my hands, so I'm gonna knock people unconscious. But yeah, like the only thing that I found interesting, and I think I haven't mentioned this to you yet, I actually watched all the way through Double O Gundam.
Yeah.
And wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good up until the movie.
Yeah. Double O is kind of a sort of reimagining of Gundam Wing, in that it's very, very, very similar in certain respects, but it does things differently enough that it's not annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But the first half of Double O is phenomenal. It's amazing. Second half, not so much.
See, I had fun with the second half, but I will admit it didn't quite reach the same heights that it could have.
The second half would. Have you seen Zeta Gundam?
No, I have not seen Zeta or Double.
All right. You probably wouldn't have liked the second half of Double O as much if you'd watched Zeta first, because the A-Laws are basically just the Titans.
Ah, okay. That would make sense, because yeah, I've wanted to watch Zeta for a long fucking time, and I just never have gotten the chance to, even though I know it's it's dubbed, so I could enjoy that aspect of it.
I would definitely look into getting the Blu-rays, because Right Stuff is trying to get as much of Gundam on Blu-ray as it can and get it all cleaned up and nice.
Mm-hmm.
I have Zeta, I've got War in the Pocket, I've got Stardust Memory, and I think I have Turn A. Yeah, I got Turn A on Blu-ray, which upsets me because I bought it on DVD first because I wanted it now and I didn't want to wait for it to come on Blu-ray. And it looks really nice. I also have Double Zeta on Blu-ray because I was a good boy this year, so I bought it for Christmas.
I heard mixed things about Double Zeta. How is it?
It's a very Tomino show in that Zeta was really fucking dark, especially at the end. Because when you understand just how bad the fucking Titans were, and how grim things really were, and how grim it ended. Double Zeta starts off kind of as a light comedy.
Oh.
in that Judao Ashta, who is one of the best protagonists in the entire franchise, uh, steals the Zeta Gundam because he wants to sell it for money so he can send his sister to a nice private school. But then he brings it back, and Bright treats him to lunch. And then he fucks off. And then periodically, over the next 5 episodes, he will steal it several more times because there's some guys who are from the Titans, and some Neo Zeon guys have moved in. Because Neo Zeon is officially now a major player in the Earth sphere.
Right.
And they're starting their shit up.
Okay.
And eventually, he winds up just working for Bright in exchange for food. And he just gets wrapped up in their shit.
That's very interesting, to be honest with you.
Yeah. About a third of the way through, the tone finally shifts to
Gundam.
More traditional Gundam.
Yeah.
Until then, it's just Judao Ashta being fucking amazing.
Yeah, because like I had heard things about the Titans. I had never seen them in action. Just are they really as like genocidal as the Outlaws are? Because the Outlaws kill everything.
Yeah. The Titans basically, they released a neuropoison, some kind of neurotoxin or poison into a colony and killed the entire population because they were protesting against the Titans' brutality.
Oh, Jesus.
Peacefully protesting, and they gassed the whole colony. That's actually one of the first things you see in Zeta, like episode 3 or 4. It's like Camille's not sure he wants to join the fight. And, you know, he's hanging out with Quattro Bagina, who's totally not Shahrazadable. And, but even if he was, which he's not, what are you going to do about it? Because he's not. They're totally different people. It's like, look what the Titans did. You know, you think it's weird that all these clothes are floating around? It's because all the people died and their bodies have disintegrated from whatever the fuck they released in there. One of the things they do in Zeta is they're actually, because colonies are beginning to openly support the AEUG, the Anti-Earth Union group, and so one of their missions is they're about to gas this colony again in retaliation, and Camille and Quattro and everyone have to go stop it, and they almost don't. Then they turn Bright Noah 2, which is the not Bright Noah, Green Noah 2, which is the second colony at Side 7. They rename it Grips, and turn it into a colony laser. And the first thing they do is shoot it at several colonies that are supporting the AEUG.
Even that way.
And then they're going to target Von Braun's city on the moon because that's where Anaheim Electronics is. Yeah. And Anaheim is backing them.
Yeah, and I know about Anaheim from 0083, so
yeah,
which is an amazing series.
Absolutely.
Now, here's the question: have you seen the American opening of 0083?
No, I've seen the English version of The Winner.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
By Richie Kotzen, and then I've seen the English version of The Winner by the original artist called Paradise.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've
seen that. That thing's sick.
I actually showed it to somebody who got very upset because they're like, "Where's my space saxophone? What the fuck?"
Somebody took his version of the Zeta openings and put those together to the opening, and they're real good.
Yeah, I'm. Something about 0083, I don't know, has always stuck with me.
Well, it's Top Gun.
Yeah, pretty much.
0083 was actually my first introduction to the Universal Century.
Really?
Yep. Gundam Wing, I want to say, was around in its first run.
Mm-hmm.
It was around episode 20-25. And I was at a it wasn't a Suncoast, it was another local channel. I don't know if it was a corporate thing, but it was this massive store. It was mostly music and movies. That's all they sold. I just remember they had these big fucking neon guitar construct where it's like two giant ass fucking guitars and sitting in their windows, clashing together at the top of the necks, and that's where their sign is, their lettering.
Nice.
And you walk underneath this thing. It's like, yes, this is a fucking event going here. posters, shirts, apparel, collectibles, and they had this massive fucking, library of VHS. And I sit there, I see Gundam, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy some fucking Gundam, and I'm gonna get ahead of all my friends who are into Gundam, and they're gonna be super fucking jelly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Gundam Wing. This is all stuff I've seen. Gundam 0080, 0083, Gundam Trilogy. Something's wrong here. And of course, I couldn't find Volume 1 of either of these. It was like Volume 3 of War in the Pocket,
Right.
and Volumes 2 and 3 of 0083. And I couldn't figure out which one I'm supposed to get. So I grabbed 0083 because it looked cooler on the back of the box.
Well, you weren't wrong.
Yeah, the first episode is the one where Ko goes up against Shima Garao.
Yeah, it's that opening episode is insane.
It is.
There's just so much happens in it. You're like, what the fuck? And then of course, there's the 08MS team.
Absolutely. In Giant Robot Vietnam movie.
That was the first time I was ever introduced to a Gundam that was used as a sniper unit. Because there was some long-range stuff in the original, but nothing like that, you know?
Mostly it was just the gun cannon and sometimes the gun tank, but
Yeah.
in the theatrical version of Gundam, which is considered more canonical than the TV run,
Mm-hmm.
they replace the gun cannon, I'm sorry, the gun tank, and when they go to Jaburo, with a second gun cannon, because it makes more sense.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen the movies, now that I think about it.
Well, if you've seen original Gundam, you've kind of seen the movies, because they're condensed supercuts. They add some additional footage, and they do focus on a couple of things that weren't clearer in the show.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the patience to sit through all 40 episodes, they are a good alternative.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched it for ages now that I think about it, so... Because I watched the original, like, I was always surprised that, or I didn't really understand, rather, I should say, when I was younger. I'm like, why is Gundam Wing on, and G Gundam on Toonami, but the original series is on Adult Swim? This is weird. So I started watching it, and I'm like, whoa, okay, now I know why.
Yeah.
So...
G Gundam is fun, but it's kind of the kids' show of Gundam.
In a sense.
It's perfectly alright.
I actually had on the podcast earlier today, somebody asked me, goes, if I got into Gundam with G, where should I go from there? And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what do I recommend him? I'm like, I'd like to... I used you and Optimus because you guys told me about Turn A. And I'm like... Yeah. I'll tell him about Turn A. I'll tell him to watch that, because that's a safe bet. Because it's basically a super robot show, but with Gundams. And I'm like, that's probably closer to G in tone. Because G doesn't really have that many dark moments in it. Really? I'm trying to think.
I think the dark, the Devil Army stuff, when they go back to Neo Tokyo, Old Tokyo on the ground.
Yeah.
That stuff got pretty dark, and some of the weird gamey stuff in the finals. Where that dude is just basically playing the tournament instead of running it.
Yeah. I will say, though... Oh, wait, there's also the fucking Jester Gundam episode. Because that deals with a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, that's the best episode of the series. Mostly because Chivity Crockett.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that there was one thing that they wisely did in the dub. Like, apparently, like, in the Japanese version of G Gundam, the song that Chibity's mother sings to him is just some song.
Yeah.
But in the dub, they switched it to America the Beautiful. And I'm like, see, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he's supposed to be like a super patriot.
Yeah.
You know, the pride of his nation. So why would he, like, a song about America would make sense, you know? Because he's supposed to be, he's the walking version of the American dream.
Yeah.
So when they switched it, I'm like, because I actually watched G Gundam at one point in Japanese, I'm like, wow, what they did in Japanese made no fucking sense.
It's kind of why I believe in the argument of subs versus dubs is that not all dubs are created equal.
Yeah.
Some dubs are better than subs. Some subs are better than dubs. It's a case-by-case business. You know, you figure out, you know, which one you prefer for each thing, and that's how you go at it from now on.
Yeah.
Like, Excel Saga. There are parts of the Excel Saga dub I really like. Some of those voices are really good, but I, by and large, prefer the Japanese voice, because halfway through, the English voice actress for Excel, Jessica Cavello, hurt her voice doing Excel, and they had to replace her with a voice actress named Larissa Walcott, and she has a fine sounding voice, but now she has to fill in and sound like Jessica Cavello's voice or tone, and it just gets like really scratchy and just annoys the hell out of you. Except for the one episode where Excel was allowed to be a normal character,
right,
and just talk normally.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know,
and it's like on the opposite end of that, there's Evangelion, the original dub. Like, yeah, I don't think I've actually ever watched that show in Japanese.
Neither have I.
You know, because and this is a rare thing. Like, and for those who are watching, like, there is a reason that when Netflix decided to redub it, pointlessly, I might add, they literally spent more money to redub that show and make it worse than if they had just kept the original. But there's a reason that, like, people who were on that original dub team fucking cried when they heard that they had been recast. They loved that show. You know?
Yeah.
It's sort of like with, you know, I understand people aren't going to like me saying this, but this is the best example I can think of because he's the most popular. Sean Schemmel's attachment to Goku.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Schemmel's an asshole because of the Vic Mignogna thing, but he's very attached to Goku. You know, he loves that character. He's been playing that character for 20 years, and, you know, it's a similar thing. Like, there's an attachment there. There's a care in the performance. That people, you know, that certain actors, you know, they really love what they're doing. So, but yeah, the Evangelion dub, like, is much better than the Japanese. Especially considering, like, certain characters in that show, namely Asuka, are not Japanese. So having an English voice actor allows them, you know, lets her, like, throw out some German phrases that sound weird and, you know, just plain Japanese.
Yeah. That's one of the things that a lot of the people doing raging against the localizers recently have been coming out against, where the people that are working localizers are, you know, shitting on people saying, "Oh, you just want an exact translation of what was there in Japanese." Well, these things don't make sense because Japanese grammar, Japanese sentence structure is different. It won't work.
Yeah.
And you've had situations where you know what the point was of what they were trying to do of this gimmick, this bit. What's the English equivalent of the same thing that gets the exact same effect?
Exactly.
That's one thing that scares me is because Netflix has the the dubbing rights to Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Oh
The
no.
original.
That is not good.
Now they have not released anything about it since it was announced like a year and a half ago. And I think it was because everyone got so pissed at him because of Eva and the response to them getting Legend of the Galactic Heroes, because in their article about it, they were talking about the more problematic elements of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, that show is the way it is for a reason. It's because it is legitimately timeless. You can teach a politics class off of it. It doesn't preach to you, it just tells you how things are and lets you figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's also got some of the most like effective horrors of war scenes I've ever seen. And I haven't even watched that much of it. But there's a point where they show the gory details of what happens when a battlecruiser blows up.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to look at a scene like that in a sci-fi show the same way ever again if you see that scene. You know that now you get it. You really get like what's happening whenever a cruiser gets blown to smithereens. You know.
Also, the fucking toll of the death toll. I mean, the very first battle, the Alliance comes home and the Alliance war dead. It's like, oh, we lost this many thousand ships. That's 2 million people.
Yeah.
That one fight was 2 million dead on one side. It makes you realize just how much you should honestly avoid interstellar conflict of any kind, because the toll and the materials and life just isn't worth it.
Yeah.
There's a book that's very similar and on the human toll. I don't know if you've read it. It's called The Forever War.
I've heard of it.
It plays with relativistic speeds, and that, you know, as you approach light speed, time slows down.
Yeah.
And so they build the idea around that, okay, there's no space military. But we're about to go to our very first space war. We've just drafted like 100 people, and they're going to be the first space soldiers. Part of their assignment and training is going to be building the very first space barracks for all the people that are coming behind them.
Interesting.
And then they're going to be sent off to do the first battle. They come back from the first battle, and it's been 20 years. They come back to the camp they built on Pluto. It's a fully functional base with a training place, and they're churning out soldiers. They come back, and Earth is so fucking different, the survivors, and they can't cope. It's so fucking different and beyond the pale. It's like, everyone is living off of fucking government ration coupons. There's no real cash anymore. The police aren't really there anymore. Everyone has to pay personal bodyguards and carry their own weapons just to go places.
Jeez.
Small farming communities of people that are doing their best to kind of live off grid are constantly raided by neighboring communities who just want what they have or are just causing mayhem. And so our protagonist is just like, I can't handle this anymore. Let's go back to the military where things made sense. Because that's what the sergeant said when he came back. He's like, y'all did your time, because technically speaking, y'all served a full-length career, 20 years, so y'all get pensions, even though relatively speaking, it was them maybe a year.
Right.
A year of time for them. So they had a bunch of quote-unquote money in the bank. They go back, and they immediately get sent into battle again. And when they come out of that, they find out it's been 200 years since they left.
Sheesh.
And it just continues on and on and on until they come back, and they finally come back the final time, and it's definitely worth a read. It just shows you that unless we find a way around relativistic speed and travel like that, then you don't want interstellar conflict.
Yeah. Didn't what was it? Gunbuster kind of went over similar concepts, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because they like at the end of the show, like they go home, and it's been like 1,000 years since they saved the universe.
Yep.
And it's insanity. Also, I still love the ending. It's like I must reveal one titty to save the universe. That I found that a little distracting. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, that's what Anno worked on before Nadia, I think.
Yes. That was like one of the first shows where he like experimented a little bit with like discussion of sexuality and stuff like that, but I don't know. There was still some of that early awkwardness, but there was also early flashes of brilliance too. So
I like the part where I can't remember it clearly, but I think there was a scene where they're building battleships and they're using model kit runners.
yes. I'm having fun beating up CM Punk.
As you should.
Well, he's a dick. Like, he is like legit. He's a great bad guy in wrestling because he's a cunt.
Yeah.
You follow his Twitter for 10 seconds, like he's a douchebag now. He believes Jussie Smollett. I found that funny. But he tried to call AJ Styles a racist. And I'm like, oh, you can go to hell, sir.
This ain't it, Chief.
Oh, goodness.
Back to X for a little bit. One of my favorite shows that was in there was, besides Might Game, was Dunbine.
See, I know somebody who's actually really into Dunbine, and I still haven't watched it yet.
It's good.
It's got a disco funky theme song, and I kind of like it.
Well, it's definitely classic Tomino in that a lot of people die.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also got these great moments. I think one of the most notable moments, one of my favorite, is our quote unquote rival character for our protagonist. I can't remember his name for the life of me. Or well, one of them, because he has two of them. One is the American. I can't remember his name either. I'm about to fire Super Robot Wars X while you're playing OG, so I'm gonna get a crash course in it. But he goes up to this old man and basically, while he's clearing out stuff, trying to find Sho and his friends, tells this old man, "You know, I could kill you right now and nobody could stop me." The old man just looks him in the eye, says, "Go ahead, I dare you." And it just wipes the smile off his face, and the dude leaves really uncomfortable.
Nah.
Like, go ahead, fucking do it.
Alright, enough of the face punchy. What else do I even have on my PlayStation? I fire this thing up so rarely. It's crazy. Oh yes, I was playing a little bit of this earlier, Gundam Breakers 3.
I've not played it.
It's
Is that the
basically...
newer one?
It's basically build your own Gunpla from all
Yeah.
these spare parts and then beat up other Gunpla that are made from other spare parts.
I think this. I hear that I think the third one, or it was like New Gundam Breaker, which came out, wasn't very good. It was like the first one to come out on Steam, and everyone hated it. it was like the one before that was way better.
That's what I hear. The next Super Robot Wars I definitely want to play though is T.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you get the whole Shuffle Alliance.
You get fucking Votoms.
That too, yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about fucking, horrors of war, getting fucking Chirico's way.
Yeah, I definitely need to watch Votoms at some point. Also, one thing that, for those of you out there who want to get into Super Robot Wars, you have to import these, just so you know. Though, I think that X and V are available on the Nintendo store now. Like, all over the world.
Yeah.
I think. I would have to check.
They're also in English. You don't have to do anything to them.
Yeah. The Japanese are nice like that.
Oh, yeah. Unless you have a Asian PSN account, you're not going to be able to download any of the DLC extra missions, which is sad.
Yeah.
You get like the special edition with the code. You can only use that code if you have that foreign PSN account.
Yeah, and I don't have one, but I didn't really care enough to get it. So let me actually check the Nintendo store to see if I can find it. Or if it did. No, you do have to import it. So I was incorrect. It is not on the Nintendo store. But you can get it. You can find it just about anywhere, though. Like, I found it on Amazon in a split second. And it is a little bit pricier. It's $67.64. But at the same time, portable Super Robot Wars, can't really complain. I think the one series though that surprised me the most that was in there was Cross Ange. That was in both of them.
Like Cross Ange a lot.
It's not a bad anime, but it is very much a titty anime in some degrees.
What's funny is it's not even like a great titty anime. It's just it's extremely brutal. They clearly, the team that worked on Gundam Seed worked on this because there's a lot of hidden Gundam Seed references in it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a lot of angry lesbians.
Yes, there's a ton of them.
And Embryo as a villain, when his gimmick is he's basically God, sort of.
Yeah.
He's more mad that he got cucked than he is that you're ruining his plan.
Pretty much. Dude's like super perv. But yeah, a lot of lesbionics, a lot of weird stuff. It's not a bad show, but yeah. Okay. Play main scenario. And
Yeah.
Oh, how do I want to do this? I still don't understand the whole SR point system, so I think I'm just gonna go with beginner mode.
The SR point system is pretty easy. As it's basically a challenge that you do, every map, and obviously there's one for every map.
Mm-hmm.
As you get more and more, it adjusts the difficulty because you're clearly really good at this game.
Mm-hmm.
But it is actually impossible to get all 50 SR points in your first playthrough.
Interesting. No wonder that when I was playing X the first time, I started getting slaughtered really early on.
Right, because it'll automatically. The more points you have versus missions completed, they adjust it to automatically to the next difficulty up, which you can always turn back down when it does that and it catches you by surprise, because you're not penalized for that. But it's free money.
Yeah.
And that's probably the more important thing early on is you're hurting for dollars because they're giving you units every fucking mission and you're powering them up as quickly as you can because they're about to split the party and you're going to have all the wrong units because you're going to have all the wrong units.
Mm-hmm.
I put all my points into Crossbone, I put all my points into Yamato, and I put my points into Black Getter. This is gonna be fucking sweet. Where are all my guys?
I know, right? Like,
They're
that
gone.
happened to me so much. I was so pissed at myself sometimes. Because, like, the next time I play through V, which I have no idea what's already going on here. Though it is cool that it's actually animated.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to level up very specific units. You know.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh wow, this is actually really cool.
Yeah, OG is where they're designed. Their dev teams really get to shine because then they get to do whatever they want, but they get to take everything they've learned from all the other shows they've worked with.
Wow, this is actually pretty good. The one thing that I always noticed about, or not always noticed, but that noticed as I was playing through the other two Super Robot Wars games, is that they were when it came to the attacks, like the camera angle work, like the camera work rather, was spectacular.
Oh yeah. They work really, really hard to capture the feel and approach of the original animation, even when it's in that semi-deformed art style, which they no longer need. They simply use because it's tradition.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, depending on the move, it goes to normal scale.
This is very surprising. Usually Optimus gets... Oh, now he's offline. Fucker.
Yeah, I'll come hang out with you. Let me just go to the bathroom real quick. And he fell asleep. The donut dimension claims him again.
Sheesh. Man, I'm already confused. I hate to say that.
I don't remember if the OG generation games, if they follow a set storyline or like the same universe, or if every game they just tell a new story because they can.
Yeah. I'm just getting the vibe that I have to know something. And I feel like I don't know something, and it's kind of annoying.
That's okay. I watched there is a Super Robot Wars anime. It's like a 3-episode OVA.
Really?
I caught it on Verve as a part of High Dive.
Mm-hmm.
Because Verve is fucking weird like that. It's a combination of streaming services on a single platform, and you could subscribe to specific parts of it.
Interesting.
And I had no idea what was going on, but I was like, Grungust, I know that one.
Yeah.
And apparently Grungust is in all of the OG generation games somewhere.
Somebody asked if the code Gaius, whatever, mechs are in any of them, and they're definitely in X. Lelouch is a pretty significant part of the plot in X up until the point he's not. Like once his arc gets resolved with like 10 missions left to go, and then just he might as well not be there. So, then again, I've never watched Code Geass, so I don't know shit about Lelouch.
I really don't know how to describe it as somebody that's never seen it before. When it's good, it is phenomenally good. It has some parts that I could do without, but those are usually small.
Mm-hmm.
Lelouch is a character. He's very smart. which obviously, but some of the stuff he's really full with himself with how smart he is.
Uh-huh. So he's kind of like Doctor Doom in that sense.
Yeah, that's probably a really good comparison. I was gonna say, imagine if Light Yagami actually wanted everybody to know how smart he was.
Mm-hmm.
While he was doing all this crazy shit.
Yeah, because I've been told by some people that Code Geass is, or Geass, or I really don't know how to pronounce it, but we'll say Geass.
Geass.
Geass, okay. So I'm told that it's how did my friend say it? He's like, it's a really smartly written mecha show that'll throw a pair of tits in there every once in a while just to make sure you're paying attention.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well, I can see why people would like it.
Like his plans are so elaborate and specific that if one thing goes wrong, they don't work. So he does everything in his power to make sure everything goes correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And the one time it didn't, which was like one of those moments where it really counted, it all went to hell, and it was really, really good. But then some bizarre stuff happened. It does have a really good OVA, though, that is like a side story called Akito the Exile. And the fight scenes in it blow the rest of the show out of the water.
Interesting. Yeah, because lately, I'll admit, I've been kind of strapped for good mecha.
Yeah. Buddy Complex, one of the series from from X. I do not care for it at all.
I didn't care for it in the series or in Super Robot Wars, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, I haven't watched it. Like most of the shows from the Super Robot War games that I haven't seen, I go and I look into because this is like really cool. This character was really cool. I want to know more about him. Buddy Complex, I'm like, I really don't fucking care.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like there was something about it just didn't. It felt kind of generic. You know.
Yeah.
My life is yours.
I know what it was trying to do, but I don't know, man. It kind of feels like, what if you wanted to make Old Noah Zero, but you had less money?
Oh, that sucks. Because I actually like Old Noah Zero.
Old Noah Zero is good until it's not.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as Inaho is fucking, turning himself into a fucking new type by, storing a ever-growing AI in his brain because, well, I only use this percentage of my brain, the computer can have the rest of it.
Yeah.
To where the computer starts fucking driving him at points. Like, no. When he was just a really fucking smart dude and he was outsmarting this fucking alien tech, like, that was fucking cool. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But when he's only, at this stage, he's only good because the computer makes it so, like...
It suddenly becomes, like, too much like Hero Yui. In the Zero system.
How are these guys losing just a point in Aho and win?
Exactly. And Hero didn't even have that. Like, sometimes the Zero system was not the best thing for the situation.
Yeah, so sometimes Zero wouldn't give him a fucking answer.
Though in Super Robot Wars, Zero was able to figure out how to fix time dilation.
This is fine.
I'm all for it. I love winning too much, so. I've decided as I chill out, and I'll probably go actually grab Super Robot Wars V here in a second, because it's like, the other game was throwing too much at me too quick, and I'm like, I need some point of familiarity here. I figured I'd throw in the Ghost of Tsushima, and Kill some goddamn Mongolians.
So, when you were first playing with the cross-Ange characters, did you make the mistake of investing too much money in the wrong characters?
No, I barely used them. That was the problem. Except the one chick that's the healer of the group.
Yeah, she's the one with the largest rack. Pink hair?
No, not that one. She's a blonde, but her mech is orange and has 2 giant cannons on the shoulders.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her name for the life of me.
I can't either.
'Cause I think it was like 6-barrel revolver or 6 chamber revolver cannons.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually played that game like really wrongly the first time I played it through. All of my healers, like I didn't use any of them. I almost never used their pair skill. If I did, it was always from one of my ships. Oh, I'll just dock him on the ship and then I'll turn him loose next turn.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who your healers are in V exactly.
I don't remember. I know that as soon as I got a couple of defenders, anybody that could use Iron Wall, I always fielded them because, you know, an entire turn of 100 plus defense.
So the Moslingers, basically.
Oh, yeah, and a unit 0 for Avas. I always fielded Unit 1 because I was hoping to trigger its super mode that it gets because it's the rebuild version.
Yeah.
But I almost never fielded Unit 2. I always fielded Unit 8 though with Mari.
Yeah, the sniper one is really, really good. The Unit 2's basically the benefit of it is it's shockingly durable and can still be a frontline unit.
In the final battle, I actually lost track of Unit 2 because I never used it, so I forgot about it completely, and I accidentally hit it with the charge with the wave motion gun.
Oh no!
Like, okay, I get the wave motion gun. I can use it anytime I want. Fuck it, we're doing it now. And I completely didn't know that Unit 2 was in the path.
Well, think of it this way: it was just Asuka.
Yeah. Nothing of value was lost.
Exactly. That was funny, that the meme that I sent Optimus last night while you guys were doing the show. They're 14, you sick fucks.
Fucking Masato gang up in here.
I'm not quite sure how to approach this village. Can't jump up there. Can I jump up here? No. There we go.
Yeah, I know Dunbine is available on High Dive. At least it was. That was one of the reasons why I was like a big proponent of High Dive as a streaming time for a while. But the fact that they don't have a PlayStation app was always pissing me off because I shouldn't have to give Crunchyroll money because they made Verve. And that's... Verve is how I'm watching High Dive content because I want to watch Legends of the Galactic Heroes on my fucking TV, not on my computer.
Yeah, exactly. Though, I think, like, a good chunk of Legend of Galactic Heroes is on YouTube, oddly enough.
Yes, some fucking amazing, beautiful hero put the entire series and all the movies on YouTube, subtitled. It's not one of the more common fan subs, so there's a... Because I think that's what High Dive did, is they took the subs that's like the most common and just used those. because that's the one that everyone knows. So all of the ridiculous subtitles that make everyone laugh, like, you may have killed millions of people, but at least you made me happy. Crazy moments like that are still intact, and
As they should be.
of course.
And that's just the reality of command. I mean, sometimes you kill millions of people.
Yeah. The funny part is, young Lin Lee didn't want to do any of that. He joined the military to pay for college, and then they wouldn't fucking let him leave.
Talk about being too good at your job.
That was the part of it was that, he read all the books that anyone else could have read if they cared enough to. Yes, there was an element of he'd played chess, when he was a kid, and he learned basic strategy from the people his dad, had him play against, but he wasn't using anything that was only he had access to. Anybody could have read, this is how, in this situation, this will always happen.
Yeah. So pretty much any jackass could have picked up Sun Tzu's The Art of War and figured some of this shit out.
Exactly. The other thing was that he didn't have an ego.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't give a shit about, we can't look bad in front of the enemy. I would rather not die in front of the enemy.
Yeah, exactly. It would be dishonorable.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, that's what Ghost of Tsushima makes fun of.
I mean, you understand the tactics that they're deploying in the series, wherein the goal is to complete an encirclement around the enemy and then just, pound the hell out of them, fucking wrecking ball style.
Right.
And if you cannot complete your encirclement, then they're going to break through, and as soon as they break through and they form up, they're going to try and encircle you. So the very first battle, where a fleet that completely outnumbers the Empire, there's no reason why they shouldn't win, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
They split themselves into 3 fleets, in advance, so they could set up an encirclement. But for some reason, they don't count on the Empire just coming in and wiping them out 1 fleet at a time.
Yeah.
Yang literally tells them, yeah, but if they do this, you're going to get your asses kicked. They won't do that. Oh no, they're doing that thing we said they wouldn't do! Who could have predicted this?
Oh, goodness. Hey, wait a minute. I was just in this base. Well, this is gonna be easy.
Good.
Everything's easier when you don't have to kill all the Mongolians. You've already done it.
Medicine should
Yeah, no
stop the
kidding.
poison.
This, I think, so far has probably been
Give those people
not my favorite game of the year, but it's pretty up there.
I still think it's funny all the fucking shit the mainstream gaming journalists have been eating over this game.
Oh, yeah.
I think my favorite quote was the Japanese devs gushing over it. One of the choicest take was one of them saying that it made me feel like these guys were more Japanese than us.
Yes, I saw that. That was pretty funny. It's just kind of interesting, though, because technically a lot, like, the time period that this is supposed to be set in, there's a lot of, like, anachronistic shit, but it still feels like a great samurai story, you know?
I could be wrong, but I think they were pulling a lot from Kurosawa, and Kurosawa did shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
where like it doesn't fucking matter. It's cool, so do it anyway.
Yeah, just tell a good fucking story for God's sake. Well, I got this guy to hallucinate and then set himself on fire. That's awesome.
Cool.
Okay, I'm sick of the not ninja outfit. What do we got here? I'm gonna grab some actual samurai armor. So that is one thing I did love about this game is it is a fucking samurai game. You know, it's not it's not a ninja game. It is about a samurai.
Yeah. That's one of the things I always appreciated about the early Tenchu games, in that they're very much ninja games, and like aside from the ridiculous grappler cable, this is in some cases it was a little bit closer to what the reality of being a ninja was, except for the few times when they would put magic in there.
Yeah. Because isn't the first Tenchu end with you like going to hell?
I don't remember. It's funny, I have all of the... See, I have Tenchu 1, 2, Wrath of Heaven, which has one of my favorite commercials of all time, but you would never be able to make that commercial here in this day and age. And Fatal Shadows. I think there was one more after that, and I don't have it. The commercial for Tenchu Wrath of Heaven was the first time they had a multiplayer mode in it, where you versus your friends, and it's like 3 friends are sitting there and they see a really hot girl, and they're like, "Hey, isn't that the girl that you took home from the club last night?" And the girl turns around and is... I don't know how to describe this person. I know how to describe them years ago, but I think now I'd be like, it was a very masculine trans woman.
Okay.
I'm doing my best to be as respectful as possible. And he said, and this person says, "Hey, Tiger," call me. And then his friends start laughing at him, and he looks really distraught. And then it starts playing the Tenchu footage, and it's like, "Take your friends into multiplayer mode. Tenchu, Wrath of Heaven, because sometimes your friends need to be silenced."
I love that.
It pulled out, and there's a tree, and the fucking game case, fucking shuriken flips through the air and buries itself in the tree.
Let me help you.
Like, that's great. You can never make that commercial now, but that's kind of how you do it.
Yeah, I would agree. Nathan Childress in the chat says the guy who said that was the creator of the Yakuza series. Oh, Jesus.
Really?
That's high praise.
If I let you in before...
But that was one thing I did appreciate about this game, was that, yeah, it didn't try to base anything off of fucking anime. It was trying to be more along the lines of a Kurosawa film. I'm like, it's how you do it, you know? Though it also reminds me, at some point I really need to play back, or I need to try Sekiro again. Because Sekiro was pretty fucking cool, but my only issue with it was I didn't like the fact that there were just points where the badass dueling system that they had put together suddenly becomes totally fucking irrelevant. Because the duels, like, in Sekiro are awesome. They are fucking fantastic.
Save me, Team Rocket. Spirits. Excel. move. And just took a fucking nasty hit, like almost one hit KO'd her.
Oh, you're actually playing Super Robot Wars while I'm playing Tsushima. Fair enough. But
Because this put me into a mood. I thought, what map am I on? Because I thought it was on 24.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, I'm even earlier than I thought. Damn.
Where are you at?
That was objectives. Chapter 18.
Oh wow, yeah, you're really early. You probably just got the squadron from Wing.
Hold on.
Well,
Let me,
if you went with the real robot squad, if you went with the super robot squad, I think that you get the Mazingers.
Let me double check something. Because I think because I hit continue, and I just remembered that when you hit continue, it goes back to the last time you suspended your game,
Yes.
not the last level you completed.
Yes.
So I'm saving that just in case. Now let's go back to level because I think I'm a little bit further than that.
Alistair wants to know, like, my game of the year. So far, it's FF7 Remake, and then Doom Eternal. But it's so close between the two.
Load game says that the last game I completed was 17. So let's go back to continue. I think I thought we just split the group up and came back.
Yeah, because it's somewhere around there when you get... I think the order that you get the Wing Squad in is you get Hero, Noin, and Zex right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Which is kind of not fair. Because both Hero and Zex have map attacks. And not only do they have map attacks, they have really fucking good map attacks. Zero's is probably the best in the game, but you're not going to get another map attack that's comparable until you get the double Zeta. But speaking of which, you've also played V. After Ro gives up the Zeta, did you continue to use her in a different Gundam or no?
I think I put her in the Rigsy.
See, I put her in the Mark
Or no.
II.
I put her in the put her in the Rizel.
Okay. Yeah, I initially had her in the Mark II. And then when the F91 gets freed up later in V, I put her in that. And she's nuts.
Yeah.
Though the great thing about her, though, in X is that she is a new type.
Yeah.
So she can pilot the new Gundam. Which leads for some interesting bits, because there is a point, I won't say how, but there is another mobile suit for Amuro to pilot in X. So the new Gundam gets freed up. And there's only two people that can actually pilot, or there's only a few people that can actually pilot it appropriately, but you're not going to want to pull them out of their own Gundams, because, Judo has the double Zeta, then you've got what's-his-face, Camille has the Zeta, so you're not going to want to pull them out of those. But there's two other people that can make use of that Gundam, the new Gundam, and use all of its attacks. One of them is actually Char, which I thought was really cool. So if you ever want to make Char a Gundam pilot, you do get that chance.
I thought it was silly when they give you a full frontal at the end of V, and he gets the Neo Zeong. Like, this thing doesn't. This thing is bigger than the Yamato, but it docks with it.
I know, right?
And what's more, they give you his ultimate move where he fucking new types at you and takes you to the end of the universe. Because you should feel bad. To this day, I still have no idea what the hell Full Frontal was trying to tell Banagher at the end of Unicorn.
I don't either. I didn't like Full Frontal at all.
His plan for the box made sense, in that, yes, it would get all the Space Noids their freedom. Yes, it would tip the balance of power so that Earth would not be a major player anymore. And Earth couldn't, oppress or retaliate against the colonies. But yeah, I was going to get a lot of people killed because, Earth gets all its food from the colonies, so a lot of people are going to starve before Earth says, okay, fine. But when he takes Camille on a trip through fucking time and space because he fucking can, because I don't know, Psycho Frame is weird that way. You get enough of it in one place and you can basically do anything. The problem is you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Took him back to the 1 Year War so he could see all the people die at a Baoku, which is always a fun battle to see because they don't do enough with it. A Baoku is easily like one of the bloodiest battles of the entire war, next to Loom and Operation British.
I work metals, wood,
Well,
cloth.
Sheer numbers,
Just for you.
Loom and Operation British are the bloodiest, but a Baoku is the battle that every time you see it, it's just really sad and depressing to watch.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way Thunderbolt is really depressing to watch because of just how fucking grim it is.
I find it interesting that we're probably never going to get a Thunderbolt Season 3 either.
Thunderbolt is, like I said, it's really good, but it's really hard to get, because it's not canonical. It's kind of alternate UC, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's like a what if.
The for those in the chat, the Thunderbolt is home to the Gundam with the most hilarious acronym for the type of Gundam it is, because it is called the Full Armor Gundam.
Also funny because it's not the first one to be called that, but it is the one that everyone recognizes now when you say that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Double Zeta has a full armor mode.
There's also a unit that's called the Full Armor Double Zeta, the FAZ.
Yeah.
And it's completely different from the Full Armor Double Zeta. MSV is really funny like that with their variations.
Yeah. But the funny thing, just at least in my opinion, about whatchamacallit, about that is, it, again, it has the acronym of FAG, and the pilot of the Full Armor Gundam is an insufferable prick.
Oh god, yes. Geo Fleming is just the fucking worst.
Yeah, nobody likes him. Well, nobody likes Season 1 Fleming. Season 2, they like him a lot. Like, he's a lot more likable, but that's because he lost, and he kind of had to grow up a little bit.
Well, because he came back from that bullshit mission he got sent on in the beginning, and he's like one of the only few people that came back. He kind of walked around like he owned the place. Also, his relationship with the captain, he kind of did own the place.
Yeah.
And that relationship was really fucked up. Because, as I understood it, she wasn't supposed to be captain. She just, when the captain died, it fell onto her.
Yeah, it was a field promotion. There's a lot of dogs in this area. Ah, fuck it.
Camille was kind of like that a little bit, not in that he's not very likable in the beginning. And part of that is that he's a whiny kid.
Yeah, he's a teenager.
And yeah, he stepped into shit that's way the fuck bigger than him, and he whines about it a lot. But it's never to the point where you're angry at him, but you're not angry at the show for having it. Mostly because a lot of the characters frequently punch the shit out of him for being a whiny brat.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like he's just whining and you put up with it. Like, he whines and then someone comes over and kicks the shit out of him, being a whiner, and tells him to grow up. If anything, one character I couldn't stand, though, was Jared. And only because the concept of Jared is he fails up. And so much bad shit is directly his fault.
Ooh, one thing I also found interesting I found out is they're actually doing Hathaway's Flash the movie.
Should have been Crossbone, but...
I agree. I'm still waiting for Crossbone, but...
I thought Crossbone had won the poll because the Gundam Twitter did a fucking poll, and it was, what do you want to see, animated? One of the options was Unicorn 2. I'm like, no more of that. Please, no more.
There's a Unicorn 2?
I think that if people asked for it, they would have figured it out. And Gundam Narrative is kind of Unicorn 2, but in a way that if you pretend Narrative doesn't exist, nothing changes.
Interesting.
Narrative is a really bad story. It's kind of one of those stories that it makes you want them to stop telling stories in this part of the Universal Century.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what they're doing with Hathaway's Flash, is they're finally moving out of the early part of the Universal Century, and they're finally moving on to where other shit has happened that's not so fucking condensed, and now it's not so messy.
Yeah. Because you start getting into Jupiter, I think it is.
The first thing you get is the Babylon Wars in UC 123, which is F91, and like the first 2 years after F91, which is funny. Cosmo Babylon demanded, won these colonies that they conquered.
Yeah.
And the Earth Federation basically bankrupted them by saying, okay, you can have those colonies, but you're going to buy them from us. You're going to, you pay for them. And that and some other things basically bankrupted the nation of Cosmo Babylon. Goes into Crossbone later in the Jupiter War.
Okay.
I think that's UC 134.
Let's see here. 420 Gunny says in the chat, reason I don't like much of the One-Year War animes is that, first one in particular, because the new type plot shit. He's like, I liked 08MS Team because it was so grounded. He said Gundam Wing is my favorite. Is my favorite as well, right? Yeah, Gundam Wing is my favorite, and I can definitely understand that because my favorite series of the Universal Century is probably 08 MS Team, if not 0083.
The thing about the new types is because it's so fucking weird and that new type means different things depending on what series you're in. And Unicorn was really supposed to answer what the new type question was. And it kind of did, but it also didn't because new types are still fucking weird.
They're basically a MacGuffin.
Yeah. When you really dig into like the deeper parts of Gundam lore, you find out that, Amuro was not the best pilot in the Federation. There were a couple guys that were better than him, and they were not new types. They were just really fucking badass dudes. I think Amuro had the second or third highest total body count, and the two guys that were above him were just normal guys.
Yeah, his was like 100 though. That's what still surprises me because he was such a, his reputation is that of a person who hates fighting, but he was so fucking good at it.
When he got in the zone, when they first went back into space and he started fucking counting his kills, when they first started fighting the Dom Tropans. 1, 2, 3, that's 4. Like, holy shit, in the span of a few minutes, he just killed, like, 4 guys. In late Universal Century, they still have some new typey shit, but it's really, really toned down for the most part. Like, people talk about it, like, they used to have this term for people called new types. I think they were just really good fucking pilots.
I'm curious as to who had more kills than him, though.
I used to know the guy's name, but I can't remember for the life of me. It was... give me a minute, I'll look it up. All my Gundam friends are probably fucking mad at me because, like, you should know this! We've talked about this! Highest kills... I'm just gonna go to Gundam Wiki. 1 Year War Aces. Number one, let's see, that's Xeon Federation. Teneth Jung, 149 MS, 3 ships.
Jesus
Number
Christ.
2.
What is he
Number
pilot?
2. I think just a GM.
They all have like him. That's impressive.
Let's see. GM Command Space type, GM Sniper, and an FF4 Toriaris, which I think was, that's one of their fucking fighters. Amuro's total canonical body count is 142 MS, 9 ships.
Wow.
The guy underneath Amuro, number 3, 68 MS, 4 ships.
Those are pretty big.
So that's that fucking chasm between them. And the numbers of the next 6 or so guys are like very comparable. 52 MS, 2 ships, 43 MS, 3 ships, 41 and 1, 37 and 2, 32 and 0.
Yeah. Who's the number one guy? Like, what show does he actually appear in?
He actually appears in MSV, Mobile Suit Variations, which is one of their art books where they put out like side story shit.
Ah, okay.
But also stuff that never made the show, but like these are they're canonically real. But he's also in Mobile Suit Gundam Giren's Greed, the PlayStation game series from the PS1.
Okay. I was about to say that the name sounded familiar, but I couldn't tell where I had heard it before.
Tennis is a high-ranking officer in the Earth Federation Space Force, an expert in long-range combat. His shooting skills were highly praised during the One-Year War. He's Federation's highest-scoring ace with a kill record of 149 mobile suits shot down, 3 ships destroyed during the war. Jung's record surpasses Amuro Ray's, and because of this, he is rumored to be a new type. He is known to have faced off against Xeon ace Brenneth Oguz.
So he never had to fight Char then. That's probably the big thing.
Well, even Char wasn't the best pilot in on the Xeon forces.
True.
He was just really fucking good.
Well, and he was a new type.
Officially, Char isn't even in the top 10 because of most of the war he spent chasing
the white base.
The white base. And for another chunk where he just kind of didn't do anything. Brenneth Oguz, the guy that Tennis was always fighting,
Yeah.
his record is 193 and 8.
Jesus.
The fucking Xeon numbers are staggering. Nordit Bauer, 191 and 4. Johnny Ryden, 185 and 6. Eric Mansfield, 156 and 3. Shin Matsunaga, the White Wolf of Solomon, 141 and 6.
Good lord.
Gabby Hazard, 138 and 2. Robert Gilliam, 115 and 6. Grennis Escort, 103 and 12. The thing about the One-Year War, though, is because it's one of those settings that you can basically tell any story in, and that's great. Until you've told every story you can really tell there, and you keep telling stories there. The One-Year War is now such a fucking mess, so much happens there. Because it really was a big fucking war. It spanned the fucking globe. Xeon controlled 2/3 of the Earth's surface. And there was stuff going on everywhere. Which is, fine, big world, small stories. You can do a lot there. It's just the way it sometimes get presented. And 8th MS team was like this a little bit. They really, they fixed it like at the end, so it wasn't as big a deal. But it kind of becomes that point where the big bad of this story, or the main crux of this story, becomes like a real big game changer for the war.
Yeah.
And the Obsolus almost was, but then the Battle of Solomon happened and the Obsolus no longer fucking mattered. It was just one of those things that it was almost done, but the war is almost over. It will not be ready in time to make a fucking difference, but the guy that's building it is too fucking high on his own farts to let it go. It's like, in Rise from the Ashes for Dreamcast, they do the same thing, because it very much plays like 8th MS team. Nobody's a fucking new type. You're just a team of GMs just doing your best to fight the Xeon out of Australia.
Yeah, I remember that one. Well, I never played it, but it was like a first-person Gundam game, if I remember right.
People really liked it because you were playing the pilot and not the mech.
Yeah, exactly. Felt more like, not Robotech, Mech Warrior.
Yeah. And, part of it was like, the Xeon have this big fucking bioweapon, and they're about to dump it on the population of Australia. But if they get off the planet with this weapon, they're going to use it to stop the Federation's counteroffensive. Like, this is a big thing that's going to, could affect the entire war if this isn't stopped. Like, you can only do that so many times before it's like, it becomes too much.
Yeah.
Because the exact same time, in the same fucking span, period of time, you've also got Blue Destiny happening. And you've got, fucking Efreet Custom and, the Blue Destiny crew are fighting over the exam system in the same fucking continent. and just the 1 year war gets too fucking muddy just because there's too much going on. It is time for them to move past it.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm trying to find Hiro Yui's kill count.
It would be absurd. I don't. Hero Yui kill count. I don't know if anybody actually calculated it.
Well, and not just like people killed. I'm talking like just MS's destroyed. Because
Yeah.
obviously he fought mobile dolls for like half the series.
Huh. Google says between Gundam Wing and Endless Waltz, 133.
Jesus. That feels almost like it's lowballing it, but at the same time, you have to keep in mind when they're in space, the whole reason whenever they're engaging the not Xeon, as I like to call them, because that's the point where, Zex really embraces the fact that he is a clone of Char Aznable.
Yeah, the White Fang.
His whole point of being there is to keep Epion from killing everyone else.
Yeah. So he doesn't really do a lot at that point. Especially because Wing Zero at that stage isn't really made for regular fighting.
Yeah.
Because its rifles are too fucking powerful. Now, I know he can adjust the shots, because I guess his twin buster rifle is also a variable speed beam rifle, so it can either be like really small shots, and he gets a bunch of those, or the big fuck off colony killer shots.
Yeah.
And he gets like 2 or 3 of those per charge.
Because, yeah, if he wasn't doing that, I would imagine it would have been much larger than it was. But the fact that he takes out almost as many as Amuro does within a much shorter span of time is kind of scary.
Officially speaking, I think the Gundam Wing, all the shit that happened in AC 195, I think it's officially called the Christmas Eve Wars.
Yeah.
Because it officially started on Christmas Eve of 194.
Yeah.
And ended on Christmas Eve 195.
It's a, I don't know, it's a crazy series in a lot of ways. Probably,
All right, some sweet science. Let's go.
I think one thing that I really enjoy about
Ooh, huge punch.
Wing
That was
is
huge.
and this
That must have hurt.
just
I like that.
is
More of
still
that,
to this
okay?
day is the fact that it's a the pilots are so different.
That's how we work. This
You know,
is
the
when we
Gundams
put it
aren't
all
an Earth
together.
thing; they're a
Great
space
job.
thing. You know,
Oh, wow.
they are
Wow.
the
Yes.
pilots are not.
That punch damaged him.
We're trained
Yes.
to be.
Let's go.
They're all trained assassins.
Yeah.
Like little things like that kind of make a difference.
More of
You know,
those.
it feels very different. It doesn't really feel like your standard Gundam story until like the very end.
Right. Looking back, having dug into the Universal Century as much as I had after watching Gundam Wing,
Nation.
you kind of go to that period where you don't like Gundam Wing anymore.
Pressure on him.
Yeah.
But eventually you come to the point where you do like Gundam Wing, you just have to think, wrap your mind around it a little bit differently.
That's what I like to
And
see. Good, clean,
I don't,
crisp
I never
punches.
watch it subtitled. I've never actually listened to the Japanese version of it. I actually appreciate the really stilted wooden dub of the mid-90s dub scene.
Oh yeah.
I treat it as Gundam Wing is the Shakespearean stage play of Gundam, and that's why you have characters that all have the same voice actor. That guy just had to play multiple characters because they were shorthanded on staff.
Yep.
The scene ends, and then you get a narration of all the stuff that's going on. That's them changing scenes.
Pretty much.
Some actors are better actors than other, and that's why fucking Relina is the worst actor there.
Oh yeah, Relina was awful.
Get in there.
But at the same time, you had some like the guy who does Zex is really good.
Man, your next opponent.
He really
is
gets
gonna be
into it.
No match for you.
Scott McNeil too, but Scott McNeil has the benefit of having all those fucking years of all those cartoons under his belt.
That's true. It's at a point when I was playing Super Robot Wars X, when Char first shows up. Because the person who knows how good he is by reputation of all people is Zex. And the first thing he says is, "Do not underestimate him." And I heard it in that voice in my brain, and I'm like, that's how distinctive that voice was.
Yeah.
Because Zex would when Zex was intimidated.
Don't stop now.
And
You got 30
there's little
seconds.
things about that really would get you going, oh shit, you know. I really wish they could dub Super Robot Wars X. That would be pretty cool. But sadly, some of those Canadian voice actors, they've retired from voice acting. You can't get them anymore.
I think it would be one of those things where if you're willing to pay them for like some fun shit, because I used to know people that knew them, and like 1 or 2 degrees of separation. Like if I wanted them and I was willing to pay them and pursue it, I could have gotten them.
Yeah.
But because I used to be friends with a lot of people that were trying to get into voice acting, and some that actively were. I'm still friends with some of those people to where, despite everything going on, they will still take my calls.
Interesting.
But if I had a project, I could have gotten them.
There are a few though that will probably never return to it though. Like the guy who voiced lead character of G.
Domon?
Yeah, the guy who did Domon Kashu. Because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
He's not going to go back to voice acting, even though he was good as Domon. Like, the way he delivers some of the speeches of, like, you know, this hand of mine is glows with an awesome power! You know, he put so much emphasis into it. He had fun, you could tell. You know, and you can't really reduplicate that.
Oh, yeah. You know, you felt his anger, and, you know, it's very clear that, you know, like, either he had somebody coaching, like, this is how it's supposed to be read, or he had somebody, you know, there to give him with the help of Kyoji!
Yeah. Oh, it was so fun. But, I don't know, a dub of it would be fun. And that's part of the reason I'm looking forward to playing T, though, is just because it's got the Shuffle Alliance in it. And apparently you can actually do the Shuffle Alliance Burning Finger. I'm like, that's awesome.
There's this music video that somebody did. It's like Super Robot Wars T Mad. I was always unsure the acronym what the MAD stood for because there's a lot of videos that do that. AMV Mad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a video that I watch because it just makes me happy, and it's just like a super cut of like T scenes. And it's all their fucking attacks, and it's super like this might as well be a fucking commercial for T. Like I want this because of this.
Right.
And it uses the Jam Project's theme for the game, Tread on the Tiger's Tail.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like so much there. It's got Dunbine. It's got the fucking the sequel to Dunbine. It's got fucking Gun Sword, Magic Knight, Ray Earth, all the Gundam shit. It's got Botoms. It's got fucking Captain Harlock.
That I thought was really cool. I'm like, please tell me it's the plot of Harlock, but with mobile suits. That would be so cool, because that's basically what V is. It's the plot of Star Blazers, but with mobile suits.
I love how they worked it out that they had mobile suits, but they lost them all in that big battle at Pluto before that the first battle of Yamato was the tail end of.
Yeah, that was a really cool little addition. And then, good lord, the Vang Ray. The Vang Ray is so fucking great. Just great. It's sort of like if you took a Gundam, but you mixed it with a, with Jehuti. In a sense. Like if you put Jehuti on steroids, but took away the dick pilot and the dick cockpit. Or the literal cockpit.
Yeah. The first one I would also describe as, imagine every fucking awesome weapon you would love to have on a robot. Now, put them really close together and attach a cockpit to all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually a plot point, is that it's horribly imbalanced and impractical. Like, this should not work, and yet somehow someone managed to make it. How did this happen?
And it turns out you need an AI working with you to run the fucking thing. But goddamn that positron cannon animation, though.
Oh, yeah. Did you go, when you, on your playthrough, did you go for the super robot upgrade or the real robot upgrade?
The real robot upgrade.
Oh, the super robot one is so much fun. It looks ridiculous. It does look ridiculous because it's a super robot.
Right.
That's just, you know, the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But its fucking map attack is like ridiculous. It's like, it's just fun to watch. One of its attacks, it pulls out these dual fucking pistols, runs at the fucking enemy, flying drop kicks it, shoots it in the face a bunch of times, and then kicks it away.
That is awesome. So yeah, I went with the real robot upgrade is just like beam cannons out the ass. Like it's absolutely nuts. The how would I put this? It's almost like if you miniaturize the Death Star, in a sense. Like that's kind of the shit that it does. And I just killed him. That's the kind of thing about MMA video games, is you can kind of like beat a man to death in the octagon and it's okay. Like I just crane kicked a dude in the face and then just kept punching him. And the ref just watches. He's like, I don't know if the guy's out yet.
I completely forgot that when they asked me to name my team, I named it #Myers Twitter.
Oh, God.
So Luce just said, Myers Twitter, follow my lead.
Oh, God.
I'm posted. I'm going to get a quick picture of this.
Yeah, when I first started playing X, the name of my character was Fuckface. So... If I go back through V, I'm definitely playing as the female pilot and calling her Tits McGee.
Yeah, Chitose. I like how just because you don't choose that character, how they're still a part of the story.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, goodness. I've almost made it to 2 o'clock. It's kind of my goal for the night. Make it to at least that, and then go lay down. Because it usually takes me about like an hour to fall asleep anyway.
I wish I could fall asleep that fast. I have to be fucking out of it to make that happen. This week especially, it's been bad.
Yeah. Failure by Winning in the chat says is that if memory serves me right, the guy that voiced Domon also voiced X in Mega Man X Command Mission. Yes, it is the same guy. That was his last voice role. It's probably why he quit. Oh, I hate to say it, but I kind of don't. Command Mission was not very good.
I think part of it was they wanted more Mega Man X content, but they didn't want to make more traditional Mega Man X games.
Yeah.
Which was bizarre because in 8 had a lot of bullshit behind it, but they finally figured out how to use Axel.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, have him be an optional character,
Let's see
don't
what you
have
got
him
to
be
me.
the first half of the
Speed
game,
and
just
power.
him.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yes. Let me see those combinations. Good job. Man, your next opponent is gonna be no match for you. Oh, wow. Wow. That kick damaged him. Okay.
But
Yes, those kicks are adding up.
but yeah, I was definitely, I don't know, I'm still, I think I'll always probably be a fan of G just because it
Don't
was
stop now. 30
so
on the
unique.
clock.
I was a little mad that like when they started last night's show, when they started going into Gundam time, you and I aren't in there. I'm like, this is bullshit. The fuck, like you don't have the robot lovers in there. But
Nice kick.
God,
That's a nice
Tequila
one.
Gundam
Beautiful
will
job.
always be a classic.
Kicks look so easy.
They need to put Tequila Gundam as DLC in the next Super Robot Wars game, and make him amazing.
They just might. Because I remember in one of the recent build series, they brought it back, and they gave it some upgrades that, like, made it better.
Yeah,
like
but
those
it's not Tequila Gundam though. Really, it's like based on Pancho Villa, and it's just a cowboy.
I think if they do bring it back, they would have to bring in some more classic getter robots, like Texas Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see your skills right now. Let's get
I'm trying to
in
think
there.
of other shows
and
that
push.
have kind of not been represented in that series yet.
That's what I want to see.
I mean, there's so fucking
Dominated
many of them.
today. Good work.
I would like to. They've done the hell out of Gao Geiger because Gao Geiger appears every now and again, but I'd like to see some other Brave series because my game has been in V, X, it's in T. I believe it was in the one before this, which I believe was Z3.
Mm-hmm.
Because Super Robot Wars Z got 3 games.
Jesus.
And like a massive 3-game story
Yes,
arc.
big punch. Yeah.
But they were
Leave it
connected.
bruised.
That's
That's
interesting.
it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like there was like the Hell Prison arc. There was the War Against Heaven arc.
Working on that boxing.
And it was like
damage. That's what I need.
it was insane, but we didn't get it, and they did not have the English versions like we have here. So to play it, you're either playing it in Japanese and you have a guide helping
That's
you,
what I like to see. Good, clean.
or you're playing a cracked version that somebody put an English patch into.
Nice.
But I would like to see Firebird, because Firebird is where the fucking is this a butterfly meme came from, or is this a bird?
Mm-hmm.
So just for becoming famous from that, I want to see Firebird. I would love to see J Decker, which is the Brave show that came out after Mike Game, which is Brave Police J Decker.
Okay.
And the story behind it was simple. Is like, they were building these robots to help the local police force to better keep people safe,
My clock doesn't stop
and
until
the
you
super
submit.
AI to help them
Let's
more
go.
effectively fight crime,
Man, your
and the
next
strangely
opponent
well
is gonna be no
equipped
match for you.
local riffraff. And what they didn't know is that a kid had snuck
Nice
in
work.
and made friends with
Lock
their
it down.
super advanced robot AI. And then they wiped his brain because they thought that all the stuff before he
Excellent
was
job.
officially
There we go.
debuted would just be
That's the
junk
position
data.
we want.
Uh-huh.
Let's go.
Power of friendship made his original personality come out and made him a better cop. And
Let's
so
push the
they
pace
paired him
on.
up with this kid, and they work together because they synergize well. Well, then you get these three guys. It was like construction equipment. One of them, he's a crane. His name is McCrane.
Oh God.
And they're all like action movie stand-ins, effectively.
Finish it
Oh,
now.
John
Here it
McCrane,
is.
John
Here
McClane.
it is.
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
seconds. Let's go.
I can't remember all their names, but they
Nice,
combine.
nice. Lock it. Go.
and
Go,
it's just-
go.
J Decker is a lot of fun.
Don't let that
I
happen.
think a lot of it's on YouTube, but not all of it is.
That's the name of the game. Position over submission.
Failure by Winning says Big O only gets represented in Super Robot Wars sparsely.
It was in Z3, I know for a fact. But Z3 had a lot in it. I know Z3 had stuff like God Mars, and I'm somebody that likes God Mars. I'm like, how do you? God Mars has 2 attacks. How do you build a unit out of that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, some of the lesser units only had 2 attacks, but he's a protagonist unit. He's got to have more.
Yeah. Not like Daitarn, where there's like 80 attacks.
Yeah. I looked into Zambot 3 because I didn't like Zambot 3, but Zambot grew on me. Same with Daitarn, because when you first meet Banjo Haran,
This person down.
you
Let's
think
just
he's dumb.
drill.
You hate his
Takedowns,
theme song.
takedowns,
You think his
takedowns.
robot is ridiculous.
Here we go.
The truth is, you're just not ready for him. And later on, he's like, oh no, he's fucking worth it.
Oh,
Man,
he's
the next
got
opponent
monster
is
power.
gonna be no
Oh, yeah.
match for you. Settle down there. Let's work.
And his fucking team synergy with Zambot.
Yeah.
But I looked into
Combination.
Zambot's story.
Love
Like,
it.
Zambot's story is
Up.
fucking sad.
Pressure on him.
Especially the ending. And if I remember right, the way they're implying V was that V took
here
place
to work.
after Zambot,
Let's
where
go.
they've changed the ending to where, well, Zambot's story is over, but
That is
all of the
beautiful.
child pilots survived this time. Mm-hmm. That's how Zambot ends, is
Don't stop now. You got 30 seconds.
basically Zambot makes a suicide run on their big bad. And all 3 child pilots, including their dog that pals around with
There
them,
you go.
die.
Let's transition.
Jesus. Gotta love Japan.
Like, literally, their leader,
Wrestling base.
after his
getting
friends are
strong.
dead from
Let's keep
the suicide
drilling,
attack,
Keep working, and
he
we'll be a
continues
huge-
the charge because, guys, I won't let you die alone. And he's like 11.
Christ. Again, gotta love Japan.
That's just Tamino, man. If you know any anime that his characters can walk away from is a bad anime.
Yeah. Oh, it's sad but true. But I'm thinking, like, I think that Big O is like one of those that might actually be more popular here in the States than it was in Japan, though.
It definitely was, but I think it's because of the animation staff that worked on it. It gave it that unique look that everyone wanted more of.
Mm-hmm. That sort of, you know, noir mecha.
Yeah.
That felt more tailor-made for an American audience than for a Japanese one. Because noir's not as big over there.
That's kind of why the second season didn't do as well. Because that was one of the first things they did away with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was the implied that if Big O did well enough on this season, they'd get another season. But it was still up in the air. And
Yeah.
they didn't want to do what they did before and leave everyone hanging. And then the end of Big O happened, and well, that was a thing. To this day, I still have no idea what Big O was about.
Yeah, I can't even remember. All I know is cast in the name of God, ye not guilty is fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
That's about it. And sometimes it's all you need.
The only thing I remember was that Paradigm City literally was a stage. It wasn't a metaphor anymore. Which it worked great as a fucking metaphor because everybody's playing their role. Everyone, you know, is somebody else, even when they don't realize it themselves. And like, okay, that's some cool shit. Because we have these fucking kids that we keep seeing flashes of, and they're all somewhere. And they don't know how important they are. The fucking tomatoes. And, like, Paradigm City is like full of secrets, and you know, shit pops up from time to time because of that. That's fucking cool. That's great. Oh, no, it's literally the world is literally a stage. It's a big fucking holodeck because for one character because they're Zach. I think it's heavily implied that Big O was actually a TV show in another world, and when the world was destroyed, all of this person had left, one of the last people left alive, trapped themselves in their favorite TV show, which was Big O, and made themselves, you know, a character in it, so they could interact with the character that they liked. That's my interpretation on what I remember, and I could be way the fuck off. Because I remember there was a part where Roger Smith was walking around Paradigm City, and it was way the fuck different. And he had all the characters, similar characters, but they all did different things.
Yeah, I remember that,
And, like,
actually.
Like, so all the characters are real people. It's just that they've been retooled in this version of Paradigm City to play specific roles to fill out the cast. Like, it works, and it's kind of matrixy in that way. And like, okay, I can get behind it. It's like, okay, we need a cast of characters. We'll fill it with people I know.
Yeah. I've been thinking to myself, though, it's like, if they ever could do Super Robot Wars in America, which that's actually the reason why it's not, why you have to import it, is because of copyright issues. Because a lot of the copyrights for a lot of those those robot shows are very different here in America than they are in Japan. In fact, several of them I think are Cartoon Network. So
The hardest one to deal with is Macross.
yeah.
I think it's a lot easier now than it used to be. but there's still a couple that would be a problem, or nobody actively owns the rights to it anymore.
The question is like, if they were going to bring it to America, there's two things that they would probably have to do. The first, of course, they would have to what little dialogue there is that's spoken, they would have to dub it in English.
Yeah.
And then they would probably have to figure out like what series are we going to use that's going to translate well to an American audience. So that means Gundam Wing probably would be in it. G would probably be in it, I would think, because those two were super popular here in the States. But I would think that they would have to go to Toonami and just like look at like what the most popular mecha shows were on there. But I think that like Evangelion would probably be on there for the memes, if nothing else.
This is one reason why I stopped playing this, is these maps take for fucking ever. Since I started playing this, I'm still on the same fucking map.
Oh, jeez.
I think my limit was that in a single sitting I could do 2, maybe 3 maps, and that was it.
See, I can play the game all day, so I'm a weirdo though.
V I could play all day. That was no problem. X just takes it out of me. Just how long these maps are sometimes.
Well, it seems like almost all of them, like, you get 3 turns in, and then the dynamic of the map changes. And all of a sudden, you're flanked. And it's like, oh, fuck me, like, and it just happens constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets a little annoying. V wasn't really like that. Not until, like, the end. But you understood why at the end. There's a lot of players.
Right. The issue with X is, you know, they always pop into the corner of the map. Now you gotta drag all your fucking units over there. And some of those guys have Excel, so they can get over there a little bit faster than others, or they can transform into fucking planes and then get over there faster than others, but...
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's fucking slow going. You're putting all your fucking movement upgrades into your ships because they have your most powerful weapons on them most of the time. They have the best defense most of the time, but they only move like 5 or 6 squares per move.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the reason why I used the squad from Wing, is because Hero, Zex, and Wu Fei all have really good mobility. And Wu Fei, his not his ace ability, his 50% upgrade ability, is the range of his Dragon Claw, which is like his basic attack, triples. So he can hit you across like half the map. So he becomes unavoidable. Plus, he also gains in ability later on that the higher his, the longer the battle goes, the higher his defense is, to the point where he can take damage like the fucking super robots can. Specifically, not to like any of the super robots, because fucking Gurren is not a damage sponge. Its defense is not very good. It's all offense, which kind of makes sense given the context, but. Anywho.
That's one of the things I loved about Getter is, you just transform to the Getter you want, and it's like, okay, I want to move fast, I want to hit hard, I want to turtle up.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Getter for that.
Exactly. trying to think though of like the other advantages of those particular Gundam pilots. Well, obviously Wing Zero has like a fucking obscene firepower. And so does the Epion 3. The Taurus is good just because it's a healer. Duo's thing is that when he gets his 50% and his ace bonus, his evasion skill is double. So he becomes nigh impossible to hit. The same with Troa. Like, those two they're so fast that, like, nobody can hit them. And then, Sandrock is actually a defensive powerhouse. And he has high evasion. So even when you do hit Sandrock, you're not hitting him for much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the advantage of the Wing mobile suits.
That's one thing I loved about fucking X1 Crossbone was you couldn't fucking hit him.
Yeah.
Like, really early on, you couldn't fucking hit him. He was great. So you put him right there on the front line every time, and then they take him from you.
Yeah.
You and me, X1 Crossbow, we're gonna take on the fucking world. Where did you go?
Yeah.
Let's see. Where is my main guy? We're gonna teach him some skills.
I'm actually going to go grab V real quick. I will be right back.
See, I thought you said you were gonna start playing through V again here. I'm like, I'll watch. Love the fuck out of V. Skill program. Skill tree, a lot of tactics.
Okay.
Yeah, the first thing it does is it refunds all your credits and all your TAC-P. So the first thing you do now that you know how the skills work and how dumb you were for not taking advantage of those sooner, but you needed the TAC-P to spend on mods so you could get more money to get or more TAC-P depending on how you spec your character.
Yeah.
Well, now you get to play with that stuff and do it early on. Like, oh, I want fucking support attack. I also want some fucking counters. Like, all my guys can do support attack. All my guys get free counters.
Oh, yeah. So, for those of you who are still watching, I know there's not a lot of people watching right now. You can kind of see why I would name the chick character Tits McGee.
They jiggle when she's in the cockpit too.
Yeah.
During her moves, because of course they do. But her interactions with Nine are just as adorable as the other characters' interactions with Nine, just in different ways.
So let me show people the mech list. So you've got Zambot, Daitarn, Zeta Gundam, and then the Wave Rider, of course. The Methus, Double Zeta, though you do not get the full armor version.
You can.
Oh?
You have to have him powered up like so much by a certain point, and you get it. You can get it early, but if you have him powered up later, they just give it to you.
Okay, fair enough. You get the Hyaku Shiki, which is kind of meh.
It's better in Zeta Gundam, but when they gave it to God, I can't even remember his fucking name because I didn't care for his character. Duello.
Yeah.
He did okay, but he's a huge pain in the ass. Like, he tried to sell them out to Neo Zeon early on because, like, why the fuck are we with these guys? This is stupid.
Yeah. Then we have the Mark II.
Elena was cool.
Now, who did I put in? I put Merida in the Mark II.
So, did you not keep Kshatriya?
I don't remember.
She might have had really good stats to go with it, or some really good skills, if that's the case, you know.
Kshatriya. I'm trying to remember. Which one is that?
Starts with the...
Oh, no, you're talking about the mole armor. Oddly enough, she does about the same damage depending on in either or. The difference is that the Mark II has the long rifle, and its range is a lot better. So, because yeah, it's a 2 to 6, and none of her other attacks hit that far. So, not to mention it has more options, because you can also use Vulcan Pod to, you know, kill mobility.
Yeah.
But no, Merida, her, I never upgraded her evasion, and at level 55, it's 192. You can't fucking hit her. Like, it's crazy. Like, she's like Crossbones level of able to dodge shit. You know? And yeah, and here's the gimmick. Whenever you get her to ace, she immediately gets concentrate whenever her focus is above 130. So her accuracy is always at 100%. So you get to a point where, because she is in technically the weakest Gundam on your squad, all the enemies attack her. But they can't hit her, and she can hit them no problem. So by the time your turn comes back, half the enemy force is like lost half their health. And you can just pick them off. So that strategy worked very well for me. Not to mention Maria's cool. I never used the Quibblies with Pla 1 and 2.
Yeah. I like them as characters. I was never a fan of them as units.
Yeah.
And there were a couple times I think I got forced to use them, and I wasn't terrific fans of them because they got the stats. I'm like, shit, I didn't pour any money into them.
Yeah. Like, here's their base stats at level 32. It's not bad. Like, their range is really good. So, well, CQB, so close quarters, 192. It's not bad at all. Skill is 221. Evasion 146, hit 148, defense 146, range 203. Kind of a squishy wizard type. But, I don't know, if you put them in a Gundam, they would be pretty effective. Plus, both of them have ignore size. So that's a nice little bonus. And then Amuro, I had him at Great Ace. Oddly enough, 125 kills.
Almost there!
Yeah. Commando. Fucking cares. Let's see here. Then you get the,
Is that the Penelope?
yeah, Hathaway's Gundam.
Yeah.
This thing's great too. Like, first off, it has a fuck ton of ability, and then on top of that, it's a very mobile suit. So, and then yeah, Hathaway, I never upgraded his evasion. It's at 200 at level 56. Like, you can't hit him either. But the big thing that makes some of these characters big is if they have the ability called Soul. For those of you watching, Soul doubles your attack power. And there's another one you can get called Valor that's like 2.2 or 2.2 times what your base damage is. So,
Oh yeah. That's why fucking Mike Gain is so awesome, because he gets both.
yeah.
He gets one because of Mito, and the other one he gets because of Gain. Because two pilots, technically pilots in quotes,
Yeah.
one unit.
Then we have the Crossbone Kai. And this one, at this point, is piloted by Kincaid, who is the original pilot of it as well. But for most of the game, he pilots the F-91. And he's a monster in it, too. And he is also very hard to hit. And this has a bunch of stuff. The Peacock Smasher is one of the most entertaining maneuvers to watch in the game. Then we have the Crossbone Full Cloth, which this is Tobia's. And he gets one of the coolest looking beam sabers ever.
Oh yeah, the fucking sawtooth.
Oh yeah. Then here's the F-91. This is the one that I put Ro in. Because she is so good. And not so much as she's a new type. You don't want to just have her sitting on the sidelines.
Well, she's also fucking Double Zeta's best girl.
There is that too. Even though I've never seen it, but no, you look at her stats like in front of you, like again, base evasion 187. Like yeah, she's again very hard to hit. And then again, that's kind of the gimmick with the Gundams. Is the Gundams there's you can't hit the damn things. Yeah, I got her up to ace. And yeah, after a battle, anybody who's doing support attack, she get the cheer ability gets used on them. Plus, she also has the bonds ability, on top of having Valor, so she can heal everybody. For those of you watching, like Xavier already knows this, but for those of you watching, she can heal everybody in your party for 5,000 hit points. She's very good to have around. Now we get into the seed stuff, and then I start caring less.
Yeah, here's all these pilots I don't use.
I actually do use them, or did up to a point, because they just stopped being effective at their base stats.
I used Kira Yamato a couple of times because I got stuck with him, and Strike Freedom has that really nice map clearing ability.
Yes.
Like, everyone in this grid here fucking dies.
Yeah.
And then I got rid of him as soon as I could, because better units came along.
Yeah, Shin, Kira, Atherin, and Luna Maria. The big benefit with them is that, God, I didn't even get Shin or Luna Maria to ace. And I used them for quite a while. But, I got Kira and Atherin to ace. But then again, that's with Atherin, here's his ace bonus. His accuracy increases by 20% for every attack, and his seed ability triggers at 110 focus.
Nice.
So and the difference between him and Kira is Atherin, it's harder to get away from him. Kira is harder to hit. He gets 20% evasion. And those two become really, really good later in the game.
They get a good synergy attack.
Yeah, it does more damage than Luna Maria and Kira and Shin's synergy attack.
Well, Shin's just a bad character.
Yeah. Well, see, Destiny was stupid. But I think Infinite Justice and Strike Freedom are worth having on the team. Force Impulse and Destiny, you can just they're filler. You know, if you need bodies to throw at an enemy, use them, because they do have some decent ability and they have good range. And they are hard, like every Gundam, they're hard to fucking hit. So, Also, what were the carriers that you used the most often?
Yamato, the Nadesco, and Yamato, you get the Nadesco, you get the Rock Highland, or the other ones.
There's the Ptolemaeos. There's Nahal Argama.
Oh, yeah,
There's the Rock Halcyon, which is basically the upgraded white base.
Yeah. Nihil Argamon would be more of a upgraded white base, where Rock Island is it's just a really good battleship carrier.
Yeah, and then you get the Tuatha from Full Metal Panic.
Yeah, I love the Don, and I just mostly I'll either be Ptolemaeos, Yamato when I had it, always the Nadesco because fucking gravity cannon.
Gravity cannon and the pilot's what's her face Ruri's special ability, where she hacks the whole battlefield. I mean, hey, do you want an extra 10% damage on fucking everything? Here you go.
Yes, please.
She's awesome, you know. I've never even seen the series she's in, but like the story in this game was interesting. I also need to tell you the story about how I killed that annoying as fuck villain from that series. But anyway.
Yeah.
Now
it's not even the main series that's in the Super Robot Wars version, and there's a funny story for that.
Mm-hmm.
Ayato, the main character, screamed a lot. That guy destroyed his voice doing it.
Oh, Jesus.
So he can't do it anymore.
Oh,
and that's why when they did the movie, which is the Prince of Darkness, which is the one that they do for all the Super Robot Wars games that have Nadesco in it, it's always from the movie on.
Mm-hmm.
He's always like really quiet and low tone because he can't do the screaming, annoying voice anymore.
Interesting.
It wrecked his voice.
So now we get into 00. And the first one you get is the Quanta, which is a cool fucking Gundam that in the movie doesn't do shit. So all the cool shit that it does in this game, and boy is there a ton of cool shit that it does, are all abilities from the previous mobile suit. Except for a couple sword abilities. Because all it does in the fucking movie is I'll let you talk to aliens. So it's disappointing, because it's a great looking Gundam. So, I don't know. I was very disappointed by the film.
I've only seen parts of it. It's on YouTube now for free on Gundam Info. I have to be bothered enough to sit down and make time for it.
Yeah. Then, we have the Zabanya. So I'm not going to tell the story of the pilot of this one, but I will say that this is probably one of my favorite Gundams ever, just because so many guns. Like, I would love to see this Gundam fight Heavy Arms Kai, or not Heavy Arms Custom. It would be one of the coolest things ever.
The fun thing about the pilot of that is if you actually watch the show, it's like in the first half, a decision is made by the creative team about one of these characters. And they don't realize they fucked up really, really, really bad by doing what they did, and now they have to fix it. And they fix it in the strangest way I can think of, because like, what? You might as well have not have done that thing that you did. Well, we're trying to fix it.
Yeah. The cool things about the 00, they found a way to make them more durable, because in the actual series, these Gundams might as well be made out of fucking paper mache. They get damaged and limbs ripped off and all this other shit so fucking much. I would say they're probably some of the least durable Gundams in any series.
I would argue that the first chunk, like the first quarter of 00, it's like Gundam Wing in that nothing you throw at them stops them.
Yeah.
They're just that fucking tough. But there comes a point where all of a sudden everybody else gets really good weapons too, and now things are tougher, and now it becomes a numbers game, and everyone else has more.
Yeah, and not to mention they don't have the training that fucking like the wing team had. Because they established pretty early on in Wing that there's not a lot of pilots that are as good as they are. Like, because you literally see them beat the ass, and in Wu Fei's case, like, basically say, go get me a sandwich to some of the best pilots in Oz.
Yeah.
You know? God, that's the funniest thing about Wu Fei.
The other thing I'll give the Wing pilots is that on top of being trained to pilot their specific unit exceptionally well, they were also well-rounded as just base pilots. You know, you put Troa in that fucking space Leo, and the guy that's been flying Leos since they came is like, I didn't know a Leo could move like that.
Yeah. They're really, really good.
Whereas the 00 pilots are basically trained on their own particular unit, and the tactics associated with that unit's kit, and not much else.
Yeah. There's a reason that, like, the Wing pilots are considered to be some of the scariest pilots in Gundam history. And there's no, they're not new types or anything like that. They're just that fucking good. So, but anyway, in the game though, they make use of a lot of shielding techniques that they don't use as much in the series for dramatic reasons. So, the 00 Quanta, the Zabanya, the Harute, and then you get another one that's name escapes me at the moment. That is a Gundam that wears a Gundam for a hat. They all have shielding abilities on top of being really hard to hit. So the 00 team is really good in this game. And the Ptolemaeos, its pilots all have healing abilities. So it's basically like a giant white mage.
You also get its major skill, which is running Transam.
Yes. So if you got a mobile suit in trouble, you can hit Transam, go pick it up, and run away. And then
it basically doubles your attacks, it doubles your speed, and it doubles your attack strength for 2 turns.
Yep. And it repairs on top of that.
Yeah.
So you can if you ever need to fall back, you can fall back for repairs. You can land and actually get repaired and your energy back up. You can use it as a backline unit to repair damaged, people, stuff like that. Next we have the Brave, which I never used. How good was Graham? Oh god, I probably should have used him. Good range, good skill. His hit is not very good, his evasion's not very good, but decent defense, if nothing else. The GN 14, that is indeed a thing. The Unicorn Gundam. The full armor Unicorn Gundam. Did you ever use these? This one and the... Okay. I didn't use them much. And I kind of regret not using them. Because I started using them late game, and I realized if I had picked them up earlier and used them more often, they would probably be a lot better.
He's awakened, right? So he flashes green instead of red when he TDs. Alright. Yeah, the full armor Unicorn is no joke. You've also got Banshee Norn, which they have a synergy attack, but
it has very specific things. They both have to be an NTD, and you actually cannot have the full armor kit on for Unicorn.
The one thing I did like is when full armor loses all its health, it just dumps the full armor kit and goes to regular Unicorn.
Yep. The problem with normal Unicorn, the armor, like, his defense is trash. Yeah. He's hard to hit, but his armor is 1,000. He can be one-shotted by late game enemies. So, But yeah, Failure by Winning says, I've only heard of Unicorn Gundam in passing. Now I can see why they call it Unicorn. Yeah, the cool thing is the NTD system, which is basically like the thing goes Super Saiyan, the horn splits into the normal Gundam crest. And it looks really cool. I wish I could show it transformed, but it doesn't let me. But, then we've got the Razel. Who piloted this one? Oh, I pulled the pilot.
That was Riddy piloted the Rezo.
Oh, yeah. Then the Delta Plus. The Jigen. So we're starting to get into more stuff with Unicorn. The Jigen units and the Jesta. They're filler, honestly. They're just kind of there. The Kshatriya, which is a very solid mobile armor. Let's see here. Yeah, Mike Gine. Great Mike Gine, specifically.
But you didn't get perfect Mike game?
Well, he has perfect abilities, like,
Because when he goes to when he's a perfect great Mike game, he gets the the perfect cannon.
yeah, so I have those abilities. So it is perfect great Mike Gine, it's just it never gets called that for some reason. But I have those abilities, like the perfect cannon and everything. So.
He's my second favorite unit.
Yeah.
I also got Black Guy.
Yeah, Black Mike Gine's really good too. Battle Bomber's good too.
Always love the bombers. I've always got them on field.
Yeah.
If I can.
Guard Diver can repair, and that's what makes him useful. Goryu was a good one. I liked Black Mike Gine a lot. Then they got the Disco. The Black Selena, this one's really, really good. Because it's a smaller unit, but it's so goddamn fast. And it can actually do really good damage. So, it's kind of a Disc 1 nuke of a character. And it's just so fucking cool looking. Then we get the Ace de Valises, which are both really good. Shin Getter. My boy.
Oh yeah.
He's fully upgraded in this. And the final attack of the Shin Getter will always make me laugh because it's called Stoner Sunshine. But it is basically a fucking spirit bomb.
His synergy attack with Getter Dragon. That was the other ship I used often. Because you could dock with Getter Dragon.
Yes.
When he uses Shin Shine Spark.
Oh, yeah.
And literally rips a hole in time.
Oh, absolutely. Now, this is just one of the coolest looking mechs I've ever seen. It's just so good. You put Getter and the Mazingers on the field, and they're fully upgraded, you're almost unbeatable. Because their defense is so fucking high. The only problem that they have is that they're fighting in water. But they can fly, so you're never going to have that problem. And then, of course, you get Getter 1, Getter 2, and Getter 3. All of them have different specialties. I usually just kept with Getter 1.
I used Getter 2 when I needed to get someplace fast.
Mm-hmm.
Getter 1 when I wanted to hit hard. And I used Getter 3 when I wasn't sure if I could tank the hit. Because he gets the defense bonuses, but the pilot gives you Iron Wall, which basically lets you tank anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because Iron Wall is overpowered.
Oh, yeah. So, with Ryoma, I only had 106 kills. I'm surprised by that. Because I used him so much. But his ace bonus, damage dealt by 30% when focus above 170, which he actually gets focus very easily. So there's a point where he's doing so much fucking damage that it's insanity. Then here, yeah, Getter Dragon, which I regret not using more. Because it's such a cool looking mecha. Then here's Black Getter, who I did use quite a bit when I had him. Because he's basically Spawn, the mecha.
Yeah.
For those of you wondering, this character does predate Spawn. And Todd McFarlane's a big Go Nagai fan. It wouldn't surprise me if the cloak idea actually came from Black Getter. So, but it's a very intimidating looking super robot, even though it's not, you know, it's kind of ridiculous sometimes. Then we got Mazinger Z.
Say, Mazinger Zero is fucking scary.
Yes. So here's the story. So the villain from Martian Successor Nadesco movie, that guy, who's kind of an annoying prick.
Yeah.
So Mazinger Zero in this, for those of you watching, has an ability called Final Breast Nova. And unlike Photonic Power Beam and Breast Fire, it's not a long-range attack. You have to be about point blank to use it. What he does is he grabs the unit that he's attacking by the throat and lifts it up in the air, opens the breast fire compartment, but also the Zero behind him, and channels all of his energy through that and just blasts it forward while holding you there. If you kill with that, the enemy you kill turns to ash in Zero's hands. So that's how I killed the guy. I basically one-shotted him because I turned on Soul, and then also used the one ability, the EX ability, that gives you an instant critical. And it did 50,000 damage. And he just turns to ash and floats away, and his only words were, "Well done." And I'm like, yeah, that's about how I cooked you. So, this unit is scary. Aside from being scary looking, like, the power that Mazinger Zero has is absurd. Chankus is actually here. He says, so Spawn is just Black Getter as a superhero. I think that the cowl design, like, idea is something that Todd may have seen in Go Nagai and be like, dude, that's fucking cool. Because there are abilities that Black Getter has in this where he wraps the cloak around him and charges you while firing Getter Rays at you. It's so cool looking. But yeah, Mazinger Zero, scary powerful in this game. Yeah, he has a map ability that's breast fire, you know, and he again does a ton of damage. And his ace bonus is that, again, his damage increases by 20% when focus is above 130, which is very fast. Then there's Mazin Emperor G, which is the improved version of Great Mazinger. This thing's evil too, but in a good way. Though he's better in X than he is in V when you get him. I'll just say that. Because he gets another ability, plus he gets a synergy ability with Koji. Then you get the Venus A. This is the best repair unit in the game. Because when you upgrade her at least 50%, the area that she upgrades becomes massive. She can get you from like 3 spaces away. Then you have Boss Borat. Its gimmick is that it can resupply. I never used him though. Then there's the ARX-8 Leviathan. This one's pretty good, I hear, from when it's upgraded. I didn't use anything from Full Metal Panic because I've never watched Full Metal Panic.
Full Metal Panic is a great show. I love that shit. And I love the mobility options that having it, you know, with its air pack gives you.
Mm-hmm.
But its best weapon is its like long range shot, and its map weapon once you purge that.
Yeah.
Like,
this was the mech that I regret had no upgrades by the end of the game with me. I just never used it. And then you have to use him in the final battle. And I'm like,
right.
Fuck. Hey, Lidl's here.
Lidl.
I chose a horrible time to stream? Nah, I'm trying to stay awake as long as I can.
The night belongs to us.
So don't throw your clogs at me, woman. But yeah, you have the rest of the Full Metal Panic ones. Didn't care. Their carrier is great though. Like the Tuatha has a lot of firepower.
Oh, you got the fucking smoker costume.
Yep.
I love his attack animations.
Changus wants to know, are there any Sentai Power Ranger robots in the game? Closest thing you're gonna get is the Super Robots.
Not in this one, but I believe they've been in others. They try to strictly be anime only, but I know they've done. I think they've done Sentai in some of the ones that we don't get.
Yeah.
Because there've been like 20 plus Super Robot Wars games.
Yep. Shinji, I didn't use enough to get his ace bonus set. But he's good though.
Yeah, you hate Shinji and Ava, that's fine. You're gonna like Shinji here. This does him so many fucking favors.
Yeah. Well, again, he gets a hug.
His ace interview with Nine is really funny.
I hear it is, yeah. Apparently she's really sweet to him, or something like that.
She is, and then basically gives him shit for not being good with women and chases him away.
Nah.
It's like, you've done really good. You've really improved. Now you need to improve your game with women. And I forget the exact wording, but it is really fucking funny because all of Nine's interactions with people are just really funny somehow.
Oh yeah, 9 is great. She kind of steals the show in a lot of ways. But yeah, the Shinji here is really, really good. Oh, Failure by Winnie says, you mean just anime, no manga? Then that's unfortunate. Going back to Big O, the manga has some pretty damn neat mech designs that don't show up in the anime. Well, that's not true. There are some manga-specific units in here. Crossbone has never been in an animated series, to the regret of many. But it's been in a... Crossbone's a very popular manga.
The X1 has appeared once, but it wasn't in a real Gundam series. It was as one of the units in Build Fighters.
Yes. That's where a lot of people probably know it from. But anyway, what makes Shinji so fucking good is if you look at his stats, like, they're very high up there. CQB 234, range 235, skill 232, defense 220. His evasion and hit aren't very good, but the reason for that is he has an AT field. And it's very hard to breach.
Yeah. You gotta do at least 5,000 damage on your hit just for him to take any of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
The EVA units are no joke. And not to mention he gets the positron cannon. And that's before he transforms. And yeah, base damage 5,200 and it ignores size. So if you put on the ability that doubles his damage plus critical, it's going to do a ton of... It hits like a Mack truck. So... And then yeah, here's the transformed version. Which...
I could never get him to do it after the first time I unlocked it. Even when I got his fucking focus up.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't remember, like, what the condition was. I want to say it was focus up and he loses a certain amount of health. Which, getting him to lose health is hard. You have to put him on the front line.
Right.
So...
So Unit 0, like, had the best defense, and Ray gets Iron Wall, which, again, is, how would you like to not take any damage for a full fucking turn?
Yeah, not to mention she's a white mage basically. She has repair, and she also has bonds, which again is the one that 5,000 healing for everybody on the map that's on your team. I don't remember what Wish does, but she also has Soul, so she can do a lot of damage too. Very well rounded. You know, and again, she can hit you with that Gatling gun from a decent range. So, And yeah, it's the rebuilding Ava units. It's not the originals. Because, like, you get Asuka, but you get Mari, the sniper. But all of the Eva units are good. Asuka is obviously the frontliner. She's the one who is your big damage dealer of the four. Very maneuverable. I've seen people, like, in boards and say, like, if you spend the spirit points, because you get a lot more attack points in this game than in any other, I think. If you spend a ton of them to, like, crank her evasion up with the rest of her stats here, she's unstoppable. So, you can't hurt her, and she can hit you for decent damage. So, yeah, her beast form second phase, 5,400, you know. But yeah, Mari, not a ton of abilities, good stats. The kicker with her is she can move and shoot. She can use long-range rifle and then move after that to get out of the way of repercussion, sort of like the F91 can. And then keep using this ability that hits this well from outside of the range of attack of your enemies. So she's a really good backline unit. Then of course we've got, well, Okita and the Yamato. This thing's awesome. Now we go into the titty anime.
I hated Anja's character throughout most of V because she's just a fucking bitch all the time. Then I watch her anime, it's like, oh no, she's just a bitch the whole fucking time, and she doesn't really become a character you want to see do things until halfway through, if not later than that.
Yeah.
X did her favors by softening her up really fast.
Agreed. So, the Vilcus is alright. Again, if you hit it once, you're dead. But the problem is hitting it. The Razor's good too. Just because Vivian has good range.
I was not prepared for the twist about Vivian's character.
Me neither. The Rosalie couldn't give a shit less. The Hauser here, Ursha's one. This is a repair unit. And very mobile.
Yeah, Ursha was the one I poured a lot of points into. And then it's like, oh, and then she's gone.
Yeah. And then there's Chris's one, which this is the resupply one, which can be good. Oh wow, I didn't know the Vanessa that Tusks was a repair unit. And a resupply. Why the fuck did I use Ursha? I'm retarded. I should have been using Tusk.
I don't even remember if you get to keep the Ragnamail.
You do. Because here's the Cleopatra. But then there's the Inryugo. This one is Salamandres. And I never really used her because there's not much to her. Yeah, the Cleopatra has a shield. Oh, you get the Fedora too. That's interesting. And now we have the Super Robot Wars Gundam, also known as the Hucklebein.
I see it, and all I see is the F91. I thought for a while they was like, oh, they're gonna put in the Harrison custom F91.
Yeah. Yeah, this is sort of like a mix between the F91 and the Epion, but blue. But its special ability, the gravity cannon, is fucking nuts. So, but this is actually a Super Robot Wars original. But the problem is, it's a Gundam.
Yeah. You know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Then there's the Grungus. I didn't use this thing. I thought it was too slow.
I did, because I love the pilot, Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
She's adorable.
Well, there you go. Then we got the Vang Ray and the Vang Nex. These things are fucking bonkers. So the Vang Ray... Oh, this is the Vang Ray 2. This one does not have the repair module like the original does. So, only has 4 abilities. But the big one here is the Positron Impact Turret Jinrai. So for those of you playing the home game, it is a super long-range attack. And your pilot gets pretty high criticals. So you can fire this thing from the back line, do really good damage with it, and they can't retaliate. Not to mention, the tactical charge maneuver Rekka is hilarious. Because you're doing all of these crazy attacks and stuff, and it's all just a distraction so that a missile pod can be airlifted behind the person and just literally launch missiles up their ass.
I will become the bullet.
Yep. And then the Vang next. This thing is fucking evil, and I love it.
The super robot version is the Grand Vang.
This thing was so fucking incredible. But yeah, he gets damage increased by 10%, movement increased by 1. So you're literally just zooming around the fucking battlefield, just blasting the shit out of people. And here's all of its abilities. So it gets one map, and it's just like dual. It's 2 lines, two horizontal lines, but the range is like insane on it. And then the ultimate tactical charge here, it never only does 5,300 damage. It's like every time I hit with it, it crits, and it's still like 10k. But the big thing is special effect Barrier Buster. Comes in very handy against bosses. So, not to mention, I just love the design of both of these. What did you say the Super Robot version was called? The Vang what now?
The Grand Vang.
If I can find an image of it.
So it kind of gets some funnels on its back too, but they do different things.
Oh, it gets feet.
Oh yeah, and it gets feet.
It's an interesting looking one. Still looks like something from a real robot show. So,
Like I said, one of his attacks, like part of his warm up, is he just starts walking towards you, like fucking bebopping towards you, and then all of a sudden it just shows the enemy, and then boom, fucking drop kick.
nice. But I'm guessing that's the one you get if you pick power. So
Yeah.
all right, folks. I think everybody's probably gone to bed at this point. I'm pretty spent. I think I'm gonna finally do the same thing. So, Xavier, I appreciate you coming in with me and talking robots, dude.
Yeah, no worries.
So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this stream to a close, folks. If you have, for those of you who are left, if you have not picked up the Vinny Tartamella version of 3 Nights 4 Days, go pick it up. It is available. If you're already a backer, check your email because we sent you a link so you can pick it up without having to pay extra shipping. So, with all that said, my name is Micah Curtis. See y'all next time.